The problem with Christians, we know how to ask God for a blessing. We know how to ask God for stuff. And then as we seek these things and sometimes receive these things, we keep these things, hoard these things, and we celebrate in these things. The problem with these things is that thieves could break in and steal, and rust could occur. All right. And how do I know that? Well, it happens in reality, and Jesus mentions it in the scriptures. And I'm going to get into the scriptures actually, because I want us to see something very, very fascinating when it comes down to how to store treasure in heaven. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Many Christians do not store and cannot store treasure in heaven. And this is the reason, guys. This is the reason. Check this out. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 19, Jesus says, lay up not for yourselves treasure on earth. He's not necessarily saying that it's wrong to store treasure on earth, but he's making a point, okay? And what he's basically saying is, if you do this, this is what could happen. Moth could corrupt it, rust could corrupt it, thieves could break in and steal. And then he goes on to say something very interesting, something that many of us actually read over when we read this passage. In verse 20, he says, lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, not where moth nor rust could corrupt and thieves break in and steal. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So where you store your treasure is basically where your heart lies. So in essence, if we prioritize storing our treasure in things that are material, then that's where our hearts are, on material things. If we are focused on storing our treasure on things that cater to our entertainment, then our hearts are indebted to entertainment. If we store our treasure in, I guess just the luxury lifestyle, then our heart is invested in the luxury lifestyle. And these things could lose its value, be stolen, the list goes on. And that is your investment. But how do we invest in heaven? That is the question. And the way we invest in heaven has everything to do with where your heart is, because where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. And where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. And what God is basically saying is, look, if your heart is for people, then your treasure will be where the people are. What does this actually mean? Now, when the Bible talks about treasure, what Jesus is really alluding to is not necessarily just monetary finances. He's talking about your life. What are you investing your life in? Your time, your energy, your thoughts. What are you doing today in order to establish what you are trying to establish in heaven? And the only way you could do this, guys, is if your heart is for people. So this is what I want to say, guys. Many of us, unfortunately, we have come to the conclusion that this Christian life is all about us. And that is not biblical. Not at all. In order to invest in heaven, in order to invest in a bank account that cannot be broken into, you need to pour into people. And no demon in hell or angel in heaven could do anything about that investment. That is an eternal investment that no one could take away from you. So now you got to ask yourself this question. In what way are you investing in other people? And when you learn what it is and how it is to invest in other people, then your investment, your treasure, will be in a place where thieves cannot break in and steal, and it cannot lose its value. Now, this is the kicker. How do we do this? So many people have tried to do this in many different ways, but it's not about trying. It's about relying on the Holy Spirit to work in your heart so that you are no longer just driven by your selfish ambition, but in everything you do, you have God's mission at the forefront. How could God be glorified through my life? How can I see this world become as heaven is, right? That's our Father's prayer, right? As it is in heaven, so shall it be here on earth. So this is really the mindset and where the heart ought to be focused on. So when your heart is focused on the things that are concerning to God, then you begin to what? You begin to do things in your life, invest in any way as God has called you to invest in the lives of others, because that is God's heart. So now your heart is connected with his heart, and your ministry, your mission is connected with God's mission and God's ministry. And guess what you're doing? You're storing treasure in heaven. And no one can do anything about it nor take anything away from you. But it all comes down to where your heart is, your passion, your desire, what keeps you up at night. All right? And I'm telling you guys, this is something that happens supernaturally. It's the Spirit of God. The only reason why I'm doing YouTube, the only reason why I've been doing ministry for as long as I've been a Christian, is because I can't live without knowing that I am in the will of God. And I'm telling you guys, in the will of God, doing what God's calling you to do, you are investing in earthly vaults. You are investing your wealth in heavenly vaults. You are investing your wealth in heavenly bank accounts. All right. So just keep that in mind, guys. Don't lose heart. For in due season, we will reap if we faint not. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget as well to like, share, and subscribe. Hope this has helped some of you learn what it is and how it is to invest your treasure where it's eternal and can never be taken from you. Love you all. Take it easy. Until next time. Peace.